I really enjoyed season 1 of Shield Hero and how I thought that this is an isekai worth almost anyone's time that's a fan of the genre. But the problem is season 2 is pretty much the exact opposite of that feeling. If I could describe season 2 in one word, it would be generic, and that's not what Shield Hero is supposed to be. At the time of this recording, there's only 6 episodes out, so that kind of finished off the little mini tortoise arc, and I have to say, I was not impressed. So this video won't be very long, but I want to talk about the 3 main issues I saw in season 2 of Shield Hero, and the first being the pacing. This season gives you whiplash into like a slow burn. It jumps ship from what he was doing in season 1 into the tortoise, which we don't really know anything about, and then it becomes this big event. It almost feels like an event in an MMO that just popped up on your screen and you just want to do it. And I really thought it was going to be like a 1 episode thing, and I was really thinking that once he saw the tortoise, it would kind of lead to something different, or it would kind of side rail into something else, but no, the tortoise lasted for 6 entire episodes. So like I said in my last video, I haven't read the manga. I haven't read the light novel, but from everyone I know that has read the manga or the light novel, they don't necessarily hate this part. In fact, it felt like it kind of flew by. Maybe that means it was either shorter, maybe it was just done better. From what I know, Shield Hero does a really good job of leaving out the stuff that's not really necessary from the light novel and the manga and adapting what needs to be in the anime pretty well. But it's hard to imagine that that would be the case for season 2 so far. And for the next issue I had with season 2, I could see you lumping it in with the first issue, but that's kind of the tone of what this season was. You see, in season 1, you really can go more than a few episodes without learning something brand new and interesting about either our characters or the world around us. And in this season, you learn about Risha and Oats and the tortoise, but I'll talk to that in my next part. But besides that, there's nothing interesting that happens that you really learn in season 2. In season 1, it's about Naofumi really learning more, not only about his shield, but the world around him. He's learning about the church. He's learning about why people hate the shield. He's learning about how to even just cope with the emotions that he's dealing with. In the first season of Shield Hero, the show really ingrains in the audience that this show is not going to be your typical anime. It even goes with some typical anime tropes and then subverts your expectation when Mind drops the big reveal that, Naofumi. And from that moment on, the show becomes less about Naofumi trying to save the world, but Naofumi trying to clear his name or at least do good in the world and the characters and about the people he meets and other things. The show doesn't become what season 2 is, and there's no transition to what season 2 becomes. Naofumi goes from being the most hated person in the entire kingdom to almost literally leading 5 kingdoms into war, and it happens so quickly. It's a different tone than the first anime, and that can be done well, that can be done really well, but I feel like this was so jarring. This was more about just fighting a giant raid boss than what we're typically used to, and that's character development and world building and a proper pacing and tone that keeps everything coherent. And my last big issue, what I really saw with this season were these guys. These 3 new characters are introduced. I know Risha is not new, but I mean, she's coming out of her shell and she said more in this season than the entire first season, so just go with it, guys. And let's start with Oats. I hate this woman, but it's not even really her fault because it's not really so much her. It's more about what she's meant to do, her purpose in the show. She's a character that gives the heroes hints along the way of where to go, what to do, and how to kill the tortoise, but only remembers parts of the mission when it's convenient for the plot. I think that's bad writing. I don't know how they did that in a light novel. I don't know if it's better. I hope it's better. I actually just hope she's not there. Honestly, I think the show would have been better if she just wasn't there. And then the main characters, Naofumi, Raphtalia, Philo, add Melty there. We're just there to figure out what to do next. That would have been a lot more interesting than someone just handing them spoonfuls of information, then saying, oh, I don't know what to do next. Then they beat the turtles like, oh, I remember now. I don't like that. And then on top of all of that, she knows and we know that she needs to die. In order for the tortoise to die, she has to die. Or when the tortoise dies, she has to die. Whatever you want to say, however you want to word it, however far you are in the season, that's what's going to happen. And when she does ultimately die, it feels, I feel nothing. I don't think she was an interesting character. I don't think her plot point was interesting, and then she wastes all the screen time by just going away 5 episodes later. You know, whatever. Let's just go to who's next. This guy, a new character from another world whose legendary weapon is a spellbook, which I thought was cool, and that's about it. He is the main guy that was controlling the tortoise. He is your typical isekai, weird, I don't know what character trope that is. I don't know what it's called, but a lot of anime has him, and I personally don't like him. Granted, I don't think he's what's wrong with this season because he showed up in like episode 5 or 6, and then it was just a big fight for that one, which the fight was fine, but I didn't really care for him. But to be honest, if he was the only bad thing about this season, I actually wouldn't even care. So let's talk about Risha. She's one of those characters that I do know her arc was severely cut from the light novel. And almost from the get-go, if we look to see when she really joins the party in season 1, they found her trying to drown herself, and that happens in the light novel as well. But in the anime, they almost kind of make light of it and gloss over it and almost never really talk about it again. But I do know that in the light novel, they spent more time dealing with that fact because that's pretty serious if you think about it. She had a lot more character, it seems like, in the light novel. A lot of things were fleshed out between her relationship with her and the bow hero. And maybe her resolution comes more full circle when she kind of saves the day at the end of episode 6, as opposed to her saving the day at the end of episode 6 with the context that I saw in the anime. I feel like while she did have a lot of screen time, the screen time was more repetitive and didn't really do anything more than I missed the bow hero. But I will say that for this 3rd issue I have being the characters of season 2 so far, I do understand that the last 2 characters I said were more, subjective. I don't like Risha. I don't like what they did with her. I'm not saying she's better than the light novel. I don't really care for her either way, but I think she's kind of just boring, and I didn't really care for her payoff. Episode 6, where she saves the day, was a good episode. Probably the only good episode in season 2 so far, but I didn't really care for it. But Oats, I do stand by that one. I do think that is objectively bad writing. Listen, I know in this video I didn't really talk about a lot about season 2, like the meat of season 2, but in a way, I kind of talked about everything about season 2. The only thing I really left out was probably about Lark, Glass, and that crew, but to be honest, it looks like the back half of season 2 is really what's going to cover all that. And I'm definitely going to make another video all of season 2, so I'm sure I'll get to it then. If I was to really rate the first half of season 2, it'd be like a 4. 5 is average, so I think this is below average. Shield Hero can do better. And maybe the tone for Shield Hero is forever changed. Maybe the fact that he saved the capital from the Pope and everyone goes back to worshiping the shield as they used to. Maybe this is the tonal shift that the creator had in mind for Shield Hero. Maybe he wanted Naofumi to work for that recognition and not to be like the other useless 3 heroes. Like, by the way, these guys are useless, bodied off screen. My God. Where was I? All right. So I'm going to finish season 2 of Shield Hero, and I'm definitely going to watch season 3. And if anyone really loved Shield Hero season 1 as much as I did, I think you should give it a chance. Most shows have a season that is unfortunate, and unfortunately season 2 just happens to be that season for Shield Hero. And I would like to think that season 3 and beyond and the light novels are going because it's good. If they want to have a tonal shift away from the feeling that season 1 was, that's fine. But they just got to replace it with something just as good and not what we got in the first half of season 2. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Please don't forget to like and subscribe for more anime and anime related content. Thanks guys.